Hi, I'm Dennis DeLucia. Recently, I had the opportunity to shoot a webinar with my dear friends Steve Rondinero, Tom Blair, Lindsay Vento, and it was for marching arts education, an operation started and run by the great Tim Hinton. And it would be terrific if you all joined, became members of marchingartseducation.com so that they can continue the great work that they have begun to do in behalf of all the marching arts. So please join, check out their website, marchingartseducation.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Marching Roundtable podcast. This is Tim Hinton, the beast of the marching arts, talking to one of my favorite people, Fran Kick. How are you, Fran?
I'm great, Tim. Thank you so much for a chance to visit.
Well, listen, everybody wants team building exercises, leadership development exercises, stuff to get their kids as build teams. I mean, we all need this, and we need better leaders in our organizations. And I'm really excited that your Games That Kick, which is these great team building leadership development exercises, are now available at Marching Arts Education. Anybody can find those. There's actually a graphic right there on the homepage that you can find to click on it and check that out. So I asked you to come talk to me about it because I want to know more about how to do team building and leadership development exercises better. So everybody knows who you are, of course, kickitin.com, but I'm not even letting you talk. I'm babbling on. So anyway, tell us about this. Like, where did this come from?
Well, it's a unique story that Frank Crockett and I have worked together for decades with Music for All Summer Symposium, and we always try to create a series of activities or games to illustrate the points that we're making. And when we first started, there would be directors who would sit on the grass watching us play the game and writing down feverishly. And we went over to him and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" He goes, "I'm writing down all these directions so I'll be able to play this game with my kids." And after experiencing that for a while, Frank Crockett said, we should just like film these and then give them a guide on how to play the game so they can take the DVD and go home with it. And so in 2011, 10 years ago, we created this series on DVD. And you get to see the actual game, you get to see the setup, you get to see the gameplay, you get to see the debrief, which is the most important part. And then there's actually some facilitator tips and tricks that we share with you about using these activities with your group of students. And the best part about being on Marching Arts Education is now anyone can access these instantaneously and go back to them and rewind and watch them and get the PDF facilitator guide and make notes. And so it'll be much more accessible to lots more people than we could possibly do coming to symposium or shipping you a DVD, which is now old school.
Well, right. And what's interesting about the way you set this up is when I was a band director and all these years that I've been working with schools, this is exactly what happens is people are like, you should do these team building exercises at the beginning of your season and get everybody together. And I'm always like, well, I don't know those. And where do I find them? And then I'm like, well, I'm not just going to go Google it because God knows, like, what can I trust it? So what I like about this is these work. I know these work. You've proven that these work. And then it's very easy for me because like there's an explanation. I can even watch an example of it happening. So I like that this is sort of trustworthy and easy.
Yes. And each game has a different focus too that you can use. So just so you get a quick overview, the ABC game was the first one in the series, and it's probably one of the first games I use in any situation because it teaches the important point that if you pay attention and respond appropriately and get involved in what's going on, you have the choice to either lead, follow, or get out of the way. And if you're going to be the kind of person that wants to make things happen in a non-threatening way, this game is the best way to illustrate that, especially early on in the season, because it requires everyone in the game to do a little bit to make things so much better. And what a great lesson, especially when it comes to band and marching band and life. We could use a few more people doing little things wherever they are to make the world better.
Well, I know. I mean, I got to tell everybody, I don't know if you're watching the video version, if you remember, you get to see the video version, but like my ears just perked right up because like you're saying, we can make a point that everybody needs to sort of be engaged, pay attention, be a part of things. Like that's like the first thing that
Right.
that's the first thing is I need everybody to figure out why they need to be paying attention and be engaged.
And the important point is that this series of games is not just for your designated leaders. These are the kinds of activities you could do with the entire ensemble, the entire group, and everyone will get a chance to experience the lesson through the activity. And that makes that so much more meaningful, because you can find yourself as a director later on in the season going, hey, remember when we made the cue? And no one wanted to make the, yeah, we're in that situation right now in October. No one's stepping forward, and we need some people to step forward to make that part of the letter. And so it's an instant callback, as they would say in comedy, so that everyone in the group quickly gets on the same page. And that's another great benefit to using these, especially early on in the season or at certain points, because you can refer back to them and remind them of the lesson. The second one in this series is one of my favorites because it uses simple numbered cards that you can make yourself, and we show you in the tips and tricks how to make them, and everyone gets a card, and it's a simple lineup game, except instead of just what you've experienced in other lineup games, you get the chance to kind of reflect on what did you do, how did you do it, what would you do to make it better next time, and then you play the game, but you up the ante and you change the rules and you make it a little more challenging, just like in life, just like in band. And so each time you play the game, you're constantly stopping, you're reflecting, and you're identifying ways to make it better. And then you're putting those ways to make it better into action in the game. And if you have a large group, you can actually make it kind of a competition between two halves of the group to see who does it faster and better. But the lessons that you learn in this game, in the spirit of Kaizen, as the Eastern philosophy would call it, of constant and continuous improvement, gets planted really early on and is a very strong metaphor in this activity.
So we're making these really important points by playing games. Like,
Yes.
This is really smart. I mean, you know
Yes.
what I mean? Because especially at band camp, like, you need to do this sort of fun stuff. But if you can do these fun sort of everybody gets to know each other, team building kind of games, but then you're also making important points about your season, like, I'm in. Okay,
Yeah.
those two sound fun. What's the third one?
Hey, the third one is blocks, and it's just simple blocks of woods that you can get at the lumber store and chop them up, or have a band parent do it. The interesting thing about this series of block exercises is you do it in small groups where each group identifies the core values that make a group work well together. And they write them on the block, and you play the game. And afterwards, you can take those blocks, put them in the front of the band room or along the wall, or frame them and stack them up, and to remind everybody, hey, remember we did that block game at band camp? Here were all the core values you said were important for us to live by. And they walk by them every day in and out of the band room. And it's just a great metaphor to bring everyone together early on in the season. And the second part of the game is called Diminishing Load. And it's a challenging team building game that's more about how can you do more with less. And as you take the blocks away, you're challenged to become a tighter group, to work better together, to help each other more. And that's certainly a great lesson all of us could use in this world. How can we do more with less and bring people together?
Yeah, I mean, this makes me want to just launch you into a whole podcast conversation about how everybody does too much.
Yes.
I'm always like, you know what? You don't need that giant prop. Just have a flag with Cinderella's coach on it. You know, like,
Yeah.
you don't know how many times I've said that in consultation sessions. So I like that. And I also think that we all, listen, everybody, we all know we have band dads that would just love to make these blocks.
That's right.
I mean, come on. There's a win right there. You know, so that I love that. That sounds fun. Okay.
And I've done this with scout groups, and they actually burn the logo of the troop on the block, and then it's a memento for the kids. So at the end of the season, imagine giving every kid their block back and saying, thanks for being a part of our organization. You brought to life this core value in our ensemble. And that is a great little memento that they could take with them to remember the entire season.
Okay, so everybody, in case you're not catching this, these games are available at Marching Arts Education for you to just, like, you pay one fee, you get access to all of it, and then it has videos explaining it. It has a PDF, the sort of, and then there's tips for you. Like, there's everything that you need to make this really, really easy. We're only halfway through, so I'm interested. This all sounds fun so far. I'm waiting for you to get to a game where I'm going to be like, So what's the next one?
So the fourth game in the series, and these are in random order, you can play them any way you want, but I do suggest those first three early on in the season. This is an excellent game on status and talent and dealing with the fact that we, unfortunately, in our world do judge books by their covers. And so it's a simple game with playing cards. It's very easy to set up. It scales beautifully. We have done this with the DCI Kickstart Your Season stadium-sized team building leadership experiences. So if you've had a group attend one of those, you have seen this game in action there as well. And the nice thing about it is it starts with the idea that regardless of how talented we are, we can still help each other. And regardless of the status we have in terms of popularity in our school or our organization, it's going to be really important to learn this lesson in life. Treat other people the way you want to be treated. And that is a powerful metaphor that serves any organization, especially when it comes to, the pressure cooker of a music ensemble where new members come in and go, man, I'm not as good as that senior. I don't think I belong here. And this game helps illustrate the point that we're all a part of this organization, regardless of our talent level, our skill level. The goal is to just keep getting better and better each day we do something. And the best way to do that is to help each other, not try to impress each other.
So you're telling me all those important messages you just explained are in this game. I'm in. When you said it scales well, what did you mean by that?
Oh, good point. This game especially, you could play it with as a big of a group as you want, as long as you have enough playing cards, and you really don't need a lot of space because it's all about talking to each other. And so as you have the conversations, you don't need a lot of space. The block game, the ABC game, that takes a little bit more space depending on the number of people you have, which is why this game with 4,000 students in San Antonio on the field in the Alamo Dome worked really well for DCI because we just passed out more cards and it was awesome.
Really? And nobody called an ambulance?
Nobody. In fact,
That's
just so
amazing.
you know, here's what one of the students said after they played this game in San Antonio at our DCI Kickstart Your Season event.
You treat somebody just however, it doesn't change you. But when you take this experience, you understand it, you experience, you go through it, you evaluate yourself, you evaluate others. I mean, there's no way, you really just have to experience this moment and you really understand how you should treat other people now. You really understand the importance of what it is to be you, what it is to be you to other people, how other people should be treated, whether you're high, you're low, you're strong, you're weak. Everyone should work together, and I really appreciate going to this, and I really enjoyed it.
All right, so I love this. And, we always in band, we talk about how everybody's important. In the marching band, everybody's important. Everybody's equally important. We're all out there. So that's sort of this game teaching that lesson.
Absolutely. And like in life, I think sometimes we self-select by zip code, community. Even in the airport, I travel a ton doing what I do. And I'm always amazed that, if you have that super silver status card or platinum level card, you get to go on first on the airplane. And then the other quote unquote people get to get on the airplane. And the irony is we all get there at the same time. Like it really matters, right?
Well, but it makes them feel better. And, I'm always in the herd in the back. Really. But anyway, I haven't been on an airplane in such a long time. I'm forgetting the drudgery of it. But anyway, I like these. Okay, there's two more, everybody. So listen, you get all six of these. Well, you can buy one. You can buy them individually. Like if somebody just wants to get one. But
Right.
You can get all of them for a really low price. I don't know why somebody wouldn't, but they're available either way.
Yes. And the nice thing about them is that the points in the season where this will help you the most. And so, for example, the fifth game is a series of trust exercises that really works well once you want people to get engaged with each other after they know each other, right? So I've learned your name, I kind of know about you, but now we want to build this thing called trust, and gradually builds trust through a sequence of 3 events, just like you gradually build trust in a relationship. And you joke about you got to flirt first before you date, before you get married, and so it's the idea that we gradually build relationships, and this trust sequence is probably one of the safest, most comprehensive series of games that help build trust in an organization. No, There's no trust fall involved if you're used to experiential learning, because that's one of the most abused exercises in the history of experiential learning. People don't play it right, they take unnecessary risks, and it can be stupidly dangerous if you do it wrong. So these games are very carefully explained. There's detailed instruction and demonstration, and it progresses. And the neat thing is, if you're working with a group where they haven't built the trust yet, you could stop after the first one and then say later on the season, do the second one, and then later on the third one, because trust is very easy to fracture quickly. And if you're in a situation where the kids aren't trusting each other and they're cutting up each other or messing with each other or doing, then it's not beneficial. This series of games helps bring that lesson to life in a very obvious, safe way.
Okay, everybody. So I'm sitting here taking notes about how I need to do a podcast about trust now, because like you're hitting all these big topics, but like that is so important. I mean, we've all been on the field where Susie, the new clarinet marcher, can't get the drill right, and everybody can like turn on her. You know what I mean? But we all have to trust each other to make that drill move work. That is such a basic concept for what we do. And I like the idea that I could use these like when it's appropriate. There's a whole bunch. There's a bunch of them, and I can use them when I need them. Or boy, the clarinets need to go over here and do the trust game. You know what I mean? Like I think it sounds really flexible.
Well, and the nice thing is that trust is such a universal concept in terms of team building and leadership in any organization. I've done groups from adults to kids, and when you say, give me the 7 characteristics or qualities that are most important for this group to survive long term, trust is always one of those qualities that you have to have. So if you're interested in using this with your musical ensemble, wonderful. But all these games transfer to other areas too. So if you happen to be a youth group leader, or you're in scouts, or you do student council, these apply equally as well there.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And trust is key. And I think trust is really key, as you mentioned, for leadership and leadership development. And I mean, you have to be able to trust each other. That's super key for leadership. Okay, so there's one more, the tank game. What in the world is that?
This is probably, without a doubt, the best experiential game that Frank Crockett and I have ever played with students or adults, because it's so engaging and people get so sucked into playing the game that they kind of, suspend their disbelief about the fact that, look, we have to trust each other and we have to communicate effectively. And those 2 elements are brought to life in this game. And as you can tell by the cover, you play it in pairs. One person is blindfolded, the other person can see, and then there's koosh balls that you play the game with. And without spoiling the surprise, the person who's blindfolded is the tank, and they're the ones that can pick up the koosh balls and fire them like ammunition. And the person who can see is the driver, and they tell the tank where to go and where the ammo is and how to shoot it and fire it to the next person. It's not a violent game. It's a very safe game. In fact, we have this thing called bumpers up to keep everyone protected. And the driver also has the added responsibility of protecting their tank, because if your tank gets hit by another koosh ball, you're out of the game. And so it's a fantastic, huge spectacle that all you need are blindfolds and koosh balls. And it works well inside, like a gymnasium, or outside, like on a field or a parking lot. And it's just one of the best illustration games of the point of, you might think you're leading your tank by telling them what to do, and they have no idea what you're saying because they can't see. And so you have to rely on being specific in your communication, consistent in your communication, and relevant in your communication. And those are the things that leaders need to be able to do. But the other twist on this game that's so fun, Tim, is it demonstrates that there's a relationship between the tank and the driver, or the leader and the follower, and how that relationship is really the key to making things happen. Because, as you know, if you have someone who's a really good leader, but no one wants to follow them, it doesn't work. And you could have a terrible leader, but someone who's a really good follower, and it doesn't work. You need both. And that's that leadership followership dynamic that comes to life in this game so well.
Well, I mean, I'm glad we had this conversation, because I mean, I've been, I've got these ready on the website and everything, and I've been sort of studying them a little bit, but I'm like I'm like trying to figure out, like, can I throw a party and get a bunch of friends together and do, like, it sounds fun,
Yes.
And everybody's like raising their eyebrows, like, "Wow, Tim's life is really boring." But anyway, I actually think it all makes perfect sense, especially for team building with my students, leadership development. All of that makes sense. The lessons are powerful, and as I said earlier, I want to do this stuff with my students, but I normally have no idea what to do, where to get them. Can I trust that they're going to be good? And I really need instructions. Like if before I do this with my kids, I want to watch the video and watch it happen, and I want to watch you do the debrief, and I want to watch the tips video to help me know what to watch out for. I want to look at the PDF you're going to give me with all the instructions. Like everything I need is there, everybody. It's really easy, and it's all available now at Marching Arts Education. Like I said, just go to the homepage. There's a graphic there, or just put in the search bar games that kick. Believe me, boom, there they will be.
Yeah.
Fran, I love it. I thank you for letting us share this on Marching Arts Education, and hopefully have some people find it that way. And thanks for talking to me about this. What would you want to say in closing about this sort of whole thing?
Well, I think that the benefit of doing it through Marching Arts Education is you have access to it all the time. Phone, iPad, laptop. So you could watch it, you could study the guide, you could try it a few times. There's literally a script in there of what to say and when to say it. And then you can keep getting better as you play the game. You might go back and say, wait, that debrief thing, what was that question? I missed that last time. And so again, just like in music, when you practice, you get better and better and better. And while Frank Crockett and I have used these games for over a decade now, you have the ability to kind of shortcut your learning curve by listening and seeing and reading and being able to apply these through Marching Arts Education. So thank you, Tim Hinton. It's an honor to have these on your platform.
Well, thank you. And it's not like I'm pulling out Monopoly and then pulling out the instructions and trying to remember how to play, and we're all fighting over what the rules are and everything. Like everybody, this is really easy. Like I said, there's a video that you watch that shows the game being played. There's a video that shows Fran doing the debrief with the students and explaining the message. There's a video that gives you tips. Like it's all really, really easy for you. So I love it. Fran, thanks for doing this. Thanks for having this conversation. Seriously, I'm interested to play. I want to play. I want to do these games. They sound like fun.
And a quick PS note, when you get these, you'll notice right away that they're really designed to train the trainer. So this is how to facilitate the games. This isn't the kind of video you're going to play in the band room and use with your kids. It's you to train yourself how to do it. Or I've used this a lot with peers, teachers. And so I say to the student leaders, hey, watch this activity. You're going to play this with your trumpet section. And it works really well for that too.
Right. So it shows the person running the game how to run the game. It's not something that the students watch. But like you said, whoever's going to be running the game, whether that's the section leader or your leadership or your staff or whoever, they can all get access. All right. This is awesome, Fran. Thanks for having the conversation. Everybody, games that kick, go find it at Marching Arts Education. Thanks, Fran, for talking to me.
Thank you.
Hey there, everyone. Barry Hauser from the University of Illinois and Smith Walbridge Clinics. I wanted you to know that I am a huge fan of the work that Tim Hinton and his team are doing at Marching Arts Education. I recently joined him for a webinar, and that webinar, along with so many others and a tremendous amount of other resources, are located on his website. Now, if you're like me, you are constantly looking for best practices, techniques, and just want to know what others are doing in our activity. I know this information will be super helpful to you and your staff. I encourage you to consider a membership to help support Tim so we can continue providing this amazing information and other resources to our marching community. Thanks so much, and be sure to join today.